pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Board members will participate in this meeting remotely, as this meeting will be accessible to the public via Zoom, online option. Information and instructions are available at the town website. Additionally, moving forward in the meeting, the chair instructs the meeting administrator to deny the right to speak at the meeting until or unless such persons requesting to speak are visible on screen and respectfully request such access. We will proceed with the opening of the first hearings, and what I'm going to suggest is that we open in a block Lot 82A, Lot 83A, Lot 86, and Lot 87. So it will be, the Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the notices of intent for the proposed construction of single-family dwellings, associated site work, and bioretention areas within the 100-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetative wetlands located at Lovers Lane, 11 Lovers Lane, Lot 82, 13 Lovers Lane, Lot 83, 82A, Lot 83A, 16 Lovers Lane, Lot 86, and 14 Lovers Lane, Lot 87. John Federico, Gary Howland, Milford, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of South Center Realty, Roy Drive, Milford. The hearings will be held at the Bellingham Municipal Center, 10 Mechanic Street. Will be held via Zoom on the evening of December 16th at 7. Okay. Jim, if you would allow, we're going to allow John to present his information. And I see Mike is here. We have a full quorum.
John, are you here?
John? Yeah, he's here. There he is.
Sorry about that. I'm still trying to get 2 of the PDFs loaded up right now, but I do have lot 86 and 87, if you wouldn't mind if I start with those 2 until the other.
Okay.
So that's 14 Lovers Lane is lot
87.
86. Oh, I'm sorry.
With that one there, if you would like me to start with that one.
Yep.
All right, sure. Bear with me one moment. Do I have permission to do screen share? All right, great. Is everybody able to see the plan up in front of me right now?
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
Great. So this is lot 86 for 16 Lovers Lane. If everybody can see the plan in front of me right now, where my cursor is, if you can see it off to the side over here, we do have our 100-foot wetland buffer that comes across. Essentially all we're going to be doing for both 86 and for 87 is having some minor grading activities as well as the proposed driveway within that buffer. Everything else is outside of the 100-foot from the wetlands. And then we do have labeled at the bottom of the page parcel B, which is where those wetlands are located. And then for this, or for these 4 block of lots, it's from my understanding, we're just going to be doing an initial presentation today, and then trying to get a site walk set up. I can make sure that we do have the 100-foot buffer staked out for these lots, as well as any house footprints if you would need that, and lot lines.
Mm-hmm. We have the grading on this one.
It looks relatively flat on this one. And there are no
Correct.
There are no rain gardens on these 2.
For what these here, no, everything would be draining into the system, or the roadway system itself, and then being handled in the detention pond.
I know I've asked this question before, but I'm going to ask it again. When calculations were done for the sizing of Basin A, was drainage from the perimeter drains included as part of that? Because as we've seen on the site, some of these drains run year-round, 24 hours a day.
I believe that the perimeter drains were included in with that. I can make sure, though, that we do have that confirmed before our site walk, and then I can update the commission members then. But right now, for these two lots in particular, we are proposing to have any sort of perimeter drain empty into catch basins or daylight right near where the property line would be and have that overland flow into the street portion. And then we do have rain gardens proposed for the lots 82 and 3 portion if the commission did have any questions with regards to those. I can get those up and running in a few moments for everyone.
Okay, I don't see a connection to the drain for either one of these. Is it overland flow?
For these,
oh no, I see one. Yeah, I see one for 86.
That's what we're
yeah. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
For this one here, we do have that proposed foundation drain coming along where my cursor is shown here.
see.
Okay. And DPW is okay with that?
From my understanding, they are. We have been proposing those for any of the non-NOI based lots. But again, I can make sure that that is confirmed though before our next meeting.
Okay.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, may I mention something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Jim Comfort, town planner. So I know we dealt with this in phase 1. We don't allow for direct discharge from roofs to public infrastructure. I mean, this is going to ultimately be a catch basin going to a basin that we're going to own and maintain. We can't possibly allow for a private homeowner to discharge into the public infrastructure.
With regards to these lots, if I can just kind of add to that, right now it would only be the foundation drains that would be proposed to have that sort of connection. Anything roof leader related would be going into the recharge chambers. Those are being proposed on the back portion of the house. Sorry, I lost my cursor here. Right in this area up here.
That's still part of the private individual's property, whether it's foundation drain or a roof drain. It's still the same thing, isn't it, Jim?
Yes, but in that case there, it wouldn't directly be impacted if like there's debris or anything that might be in a gutter system that'd be going in there. But if that is something that we do have to eliminate, that direct connection, I can definitely make sure that we do revise accordingly to get that taken care of for you.
I would recommend it, and I think the DPW director would as well.
Okay, that is something that we can definitely make sure that we take into consideration there.
Okay, so lot 86 has 2 infiltration drains.
Yes, we are proposing for each of the lots 2 of the roof recharge, and then the foundation drain in most cases would be daylighting. We'll make sure that we do look into these particular lots just to make sure that we can make everything work in terms of flows or anything else.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I have 2 questions. One is, for lot 87, are we viewing the front right corner of that, the line that comes off that right angle, straight out to the street as the foundation / whatever drain?
Well, we don't have the individual plan for 87 up yet, Mike.
No, I'm just looking at what's there, though. I mean, it's the same scale and so forth. I'm just trying to make sure that looks like it ties into the line that runs down the street, the water.
Well,
Am I doing that?
That is in this area here, tying into this drainage manhole. I believe that is 4B.
that's
Right,
lot
so-
86.
Right, but if you go to 87, the front right corner of the house, is that line that's coming straight out towards the street and tying into what looks like the line running down along the sidewalk there?
This year, I do have 87 up.
Okay, well, it just looked like the same markings on it.
Mike, hold on a minute. Mike, hold on
Okay.
just a sec, okay? Let's wrap up 86.
I have another question then. Since the 100 100-foot wetland buffer touches the driveways for both those properties, well, 86, and since we're focused on 86, I noticed the wetlands is south or to the bottom of the plan towards Plan B or whatever, parcel B.
Parcel B.
How did the road get permitted inside the 100-foot wetland buffer zone?
It was part of the original permit when the 40B was filed in like 1987.
Because it was a 40B, they let that happen?
Yes.
Usually we don't want roads running through 100-foot buffer zones, especially since it's a new road. It's not like it's been there forever. I just was curious. So was the 87, that's 30-something years ago? Well,
Actually, it might have been a little more recent than 87. Might have been 97. But here's the thing.
That's not our permit. The road's not our permit.
No, it's superseding order of
Right.
conditions.
So we didn't have anything to do with that.
Well, we did.
Well, I know, but yeah,
United
then we got super, yeah.
I mean,
So-
just if I'm viewing the 100-foot impacts, the 100-foot wetland buffer on lot 86 and the driveway, however many feet of that, the driveway shown going into that, since the road's already sitting in it, it's like, go ahead, put a few more feet of asphalt in it. It's not gonna, the road's a huge amount compared to that, so, and it's much closer to the wetlands, in the direction of the wetlands, so, yeah, okay, that didn't bother me.
Well, I agree with you that this is a lot easier to, will be a lot easier to permit than lot 81 and lot 82 that abut the open space on the south side of the street. We'll get to lot 82 shortly, but this is, we have one other lot in phase 1 that has a similar situation where the buffer zone was from the isolated vegetated wetland across the street on the open space. Very similar situation, but we're gonna ask the same questions relative to perimeter drains hooking up directly to town drainage. I mean, I think Mr. Cuffman's point is appropriate. Who's gonna ultimately bear responsibility in the event that there's damage that occurs to that, there's a break. And again, my concern about the allowing of the additional perimeter drain contribution to Basin A, because I know that we have seen perimeter drains running constantly. And in fact, we have a situation in Basin A right now where there is water running into Basin A. And I think I asked you to investigate what might be causing that to happen. John, I mean.
Yes, that was something that we did take a look into. In terms of that, I don't have my notes in front of me for it, but definitely during our next site walk or during the next meeting, I can definitely make sure I have those notes to properly address that for you.
Okay, because we were out there again very recently with our peer reviewer for Basin C, with Jim, and the person who's going to be the lead engineer for Basin C. And we had not had a storm event in 4 days, and there was substantial flow entering the basin. And I'm telling you right now, and you can bring it back to your team, there is a breach in the drain pipe somewhere, and you are introducing groundwater into the basin. So if you look at that contribution along with the potential for perimeter drains to be contributing on a regular basis, we need to make sure that those calculations are okay.
Surely. I definitely made that note here for it. And like I said, I'll make sure that for the next meeting, I do have those notes on the basin and what we had discussed out in the field. And we can address that then. My apologies for not having that today.
No, we're not trying to beat you up on it. We're just, we're making the point. Okay, so is there any more question on 86? Can we move to 87?
I have one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The parcel A that is immediately to the east of lot 86,
Yes.
is that open space? What's parcel A?
As for my understanding, parcel A, there is a water main that runs through it with an easement, and I believe that was an access easement for some town lands that was up in this area. I don't have that noted on the plan, but I can definitely make sure that if we do need to call out anything for that, it is for it. But in terms of anything for the development, other than just a little bit of grading to make it work, we're not touching parcel A for anything.
Okay, so it's not open space, so we don't need fences and bounds and all that.
No, not from my understanding that we would need any sort of fences or bounds there.
But we might along the back because that's town property in the back.
If that is something that we would have to include, I can definitely make sure that we have any notes or any fencing or anything reflected on a plan for it.
Anything that butts up against town property, I think would be a priority to have badged and fenced.
I agree. But I believe, John, that parcel A is one of the open space parcels.
Okay.
So,
in which case that would need to be fenced and badged as well.
Okay.
The entire length of the property line.
similar to lot 49 in phase 1, phase A.
I just don't want there to be any ambiguity about what needs to be badged and fenced. Everything.
We see it all the time. You know, we saw it on the open space parcel in phase 1 with the grass clippings and the shrubs and the people just dumping their yard waste into. So agreed. All right.
Is that property line only 11 feet for the house to on the right side of lots 86? To the
11.4.
All right, yeah, I definitely agree. The higher and the bigger the fence, 11 feet is almost nothing when it's a side yard and you're mowing and or cleaning. To dump it, you know, another 10 feet away or 5 feet away doesn't seem like much, but then you're, yeah, definitely.
I have a question on the drain, kind of for, I think Jim might be the most knowledgeable, but does this qualify under the MS4 regulations as part of the state-owned or municipal-owned system, or is this just going to a private drainage basin?
So any of the drainage systems will be added to our inventory that we have to meet the MS4. So the basin A, basin B, and basin C will be part of our infrastructure, as well as all these paved roads that we now have to treat to meet MS4.
Okay, so do they need to get a permit from Don of any sort to do that?
No. Right now, the MS4 isn't set up for developers or private entities to get a separate permit. It's simply the town's permit. And now each one of these homeowners will have to pay into a stormwater utility so that the town can attempt to treat all this impervious surface that we're now allowing.
Got it.
Okay. So we've worked lot 86 pretty well. Lot 87 should be very similar. So John, if you'd like to move to lot 87.
I do have one question. Since we had briefly discussed it regarding any sort of badging and fencing, would that be the same post and rail fence that was proposed near the rain garden type of area, or would you need a different type of fence there?
I'm thinking something like the border wall.
Okay.
You know, 20 feet high, made out of steel, that kind of thing.
I will definitely make sure we pass that along. I can't guarantee though that we'll be able to make that happen, but I'll definitely it's noted there.
Might just be post and rail then.
Okay, that would be perfectly fine then. Thank you for the clarification on that.
You can ask Mexico if they want to pay for it.
In front of us here, it's lot 87. Somewhat similar situation to lot 86. We only really have a little bit of grading and the roadway portion that's within the buffer. This one here, it is a little bit more clear for some things. We do have the foundation drain that is proposed. You were correct right through this area here. And then that is something that I'll make sure that we do take a look at a little bit more closely. And if we do have to make sure that we don't discharge directly into the system, that is going to be handled properly for it. But similar with 86, we do have 2 infiltration chambers for roof recharge. And that's pretty much it. Everything along these lots is going to be town of Bellingham land, so I definitely will make sure that we do have the note for anything post and fence or post and rail fence related, as well as badge related.
Okay, questions on 87? Okay. Let's go across the street.
And then, excuse me 1 second here. I did try to re-download these attachments, and I'm having a little trouble accessing them at this moment from my email. I'm not sure if Ann or Cliff, if you guys on your end might have a PDF copy, and then I can kind of walk everybody through it from there. Or James, if you might have any sort of copies on your end.
Your server was down.
If John, if you have it in your email and you want to forward it to me, I can open it up real quick.
And then bear with me 1 second here. Forward.
But you're,
No.
I'm having a little trouble with this. I'm just going to stop the screen share real quick. If you guys would mind, bear with me for 1 moment here. Sorry about
no
that.
problem. It's okay.
This is where we should have like the elevator music.
Muzak?
Yeah, you know, the dun, 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 dun.
Sorry, Neil, my production team's off today. My apologies.
Which lot you're looking for?
It would be 82A and 83A. And then Jim, if you don't mind, could I get your email?
Yeah, just you see my name there, just first initial, last name
Sure thing.
at bellinghamma.org.
Neil, you could always play a little tune on your horn there. Or not.
Ian's trying to access the town's computer from here.
Okay. I did just have that forwarded over to Jim if he does happen to receive that. Again, guys, my apologies with not having that a little bit more prepared there.
It's okay.
And then, Jim, that would be coming through from my work email at gnhengineering.com.
Okay, just received it. So which one would you like me to open?
82 or 83, whichever the commissions would like to start off with.
82, 82A.
82A. This is what I have for 82A. Let's see.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. So with regards to lot 82A, we do have the 100-foot buffer. It roughly runs through the middle of the lot. We would be proposing to have a retaining wall. With this wall here, if I recall the grades correctly for it, it is going to be 4 feet or less in that case. I will make sure that we do get confirmation if it would be any sort of Versalock wall or something similar to the previously proposed boulder walls in that case. But this one here, we do have the 25-foot no disturb buffer that does come into the property line. We do have that wall offset a little bit and can pull it back a little bit further if the commission deems so, as we do have a little bit more space to work with compared to lot 81. But similar to the other NOI lots, these here do have a rain garden easement on it, as well as the rain gardens located at the southern portion or the bottom of the page here, with that rain garden access easement that runs in between lot 82A and lot 83A.
and the wall at the south of the lot, it looks like that's relatively small.
The one at the
That's
very
6
southern
feet
portion,
tall.
the one at the very southern portion is only going to be a 4-footer or less in that case. And then as we go along the what would be the western property line, that one there has potential to be a little bit on the larger side, not as tall as the wall on lot 81, fortunately. And then also too, we do have some ability to pull that back to try to get the grading to work to make that less than 4 feet in height.
Yeah, I think that's, given the problems we have with lot 81, that I don't think the commission is still comfortable with that one. This is a little easier to work with, but it's still a challenging lot. And you're at the limit of 4 feet, and it looks like you're tying in potentially 2 different types of walls at a 90-degree angle point. And additionally, you've got on the southeastern edge of the lot, you got that little jog to tie into that contour.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're going to need, obviously, we're going to need to go out and see the other 2 lots, lot 86 and lot 87, I think are a little less critical.
Okay.
We're going to need to get out there and take a peek at this.
Sure. I can definitely make sure that I do have, like I mentioned, a buffer house footprint, as well as the rain garden staked out for these. If you would like to have retaining wall or anything else staked out for reference points, I can definitely make sure that we do include that as well. And whenever the commission is available to meet, I can definitely make sure that I'm available to do that site walk with you all.
A lot of it's going to be dictated by how much snow is out there.
Completely.
But what we're going to do is we're going to suggest to you that you do the movement of the western wall and that you gentle the grades on the southern wall so that when we go out there, we have revised plans so we can see that every effort's been made to lower the height on the wall and to increase the distance between the no disturb zone and the wall itself on the west.
And if we could get that staked out too, please, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think John was suggesting he would do that.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that we get the wall staked,
Oh yeah,
please.
Yep. Along with the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Correct.
Okay,
I will definitely make sure the 25-foot is included as well.
all right.
So, Mr. Chair, although we were told just now that there's not much of, it's not as high as whatever lot 81 or whatever, am I reading right that on the western side of the lot, that wall, which starts at about 282 or 281 going north, ends up at about 292, 293. So that's a 12 or 13 foot wall.
294.
It'd be potential all the way up to 294.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 foot wall, it
Remember-
does drop off pretty steeply, not quite as steeply there. I mean, there is a grading there, but that's a very high wall. And
Well-
it says retaining design by others. So again, is that a Versalock or do we know what it is?
And in terms of that, at least with the overall height, it is going to be sloping towards the parcel B area. It does not necessarily mean that the height of the wall at that point is going to be 12 feet.
Yeah, there's just so much writing. Can you zoom in or eliminate the PR retaining wall designed by others to see what those grade slopes contours cut off at? I can't read that because it's blocked.
I can make sure that I do get a little bit of clarification on that for everybody. But I do appreciate you zooming in on that area, Jim.
Yeah, so if you look at it, they're 2-foot contours, but remember, these are not field survey. So you've got right above retaining wall designed by others. That first contour is 282, 284, 286, and then 288. And if you look above the wall, they're tying in at 292. So that looks to me to be about a 6-foot wall.
Right now, it is a little bit harder to see on this plan. I can definitely make sure for any other ones that it is darkened up a little bit to be clearer. It does appear that along running parallel with the wall, We are close to around that 288 or so mark. So we are relatively trying to keep it very close to being a 4-foot wall, not exceeding that. And again, I can definitely work with pulling that back a little bit and help lessening up some of the grades there.
Yeah, I think you're going to need to, because based on what I'm seeing here, the toe of the wall looks like it's as the contour bends to the south, it's 286 at the toe of the wall, and the contour above the wall is 292. See where I am?
Yes, that 286 contour, it does bend and connects roughly where the lot 82A call out is, because it does run parallel with how that wall's proposed. Again, I will try to clean up some of those call outs there so it's a little bit more legible for it. But definitely, though, we will do anything that we can to help lessen any of the grades out there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, and applicant there, John, is that just to the right of the word parcel B, that vertical solid line, is that the property line?
Yes, it is. We do have
Okay.
the 100-foot buffer that, or sorry, the 25-foot buffer that runs in it. And then we did try to stay about 2 feet or so off of that.
Right,
For where
so
the
as you proceed down to where, just about where it says, right where your cursor is there, 20, or the cursor is 25-foot no disturb buffer, that is only a couple of feet, it looks like, from the wall. My thought is the same concern as we had before with the, I guess it was lot 81, with the high wall and working that close to an area you're not supposed to be going into, that it
is something
spelled
that
out.
back a little more for everyone.
Beg your pardon?
That is something that we'll be able to pull back as we do have some space in between there and where the building's going to be.
All right, well, yeah, I think we want to re-examine that whenever you're ready to show us what you actually plan on doing, and making sure that, like we were trying to do on lot 81, that explicitly in the instructions to the contractor and or reinforce in whatever way we're doing it for that site, we do it for here too, because real easy for them to step 10 feet, 5 feet, 3 feet, whatever, over to the side, even if it's marked in some way. I assume it would be orange fence or something. Is that what you standardly put up along the area of the no disturb when you're working that close to it?
I'm not sure what would be typical in that case. I would have to confirm that with the applicant and the contractor. But I do know that we would be having siltation barriers out there for it. And right now, as it's shown on the plan, it's proposed 1 foot off, but we'll definitely try to give as much space as we can without making it too difficult to work with the house and any grading out there.
Well, that's the other thing. Unlike the lot, was it lot 81 that had the high wall that we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so unlike lot 81 where we talked about being that close to the foundation, they can work on the house side and so forth. Here, if I'm reading this right, you're working on a slope where you're not going to dig down to the right of that wall and install the Versalock or whatever it is on the inside of the wall, are you? You're going to be wanting to work on the other side, that's the exposed side of the wall, which means you're going to be needing to move it, I would say 4 or 5 feet at least, to clear a machine or people working and not have it. I know you're going to pull it back a little bit, but a little bit, I just want to make sure I understood the.
When I say a little bit, I'm not going to try to, pull it back 1 foot and try to argue with the commission that we did try to do that. Obviously, I will try to bring it back, 5 feet or more if possible, without trying to impact anything for, yard space or just usability of what's out there.
Okay, I'm going to have to put a stop to the conversation here. We have a hearing, and representatives are here for the 7:30 hearing. Now, in a housekeeping issue, we have a withdrawal request for our 7:55 hearing. So what I'm going to do is we're going to honor the request for withdrawal, but I'd like to continue the conversation for lots 82 and 83 to this meeting at 8. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Chair, could we just continue all of them to that point, and then we can,
Well, they're all, well,
rather than, because if we don't, then we have to.
we haven't closed any of them.
Right.
So we're going to continue the discussion. We open the hearings in mass, and what we're going to do is we're going to continue the discussion for those last two, but the hearing for all of them are still open.
Okay, got it. So that would be to continue all
The
lots.
block of hearings,
The block of hearings to 8 this evening.
and
Yeah,
specifically to deal with lots 82A and 83.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
You need a
Second.
second?
Okay, we've got a motion to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous vote. So, John, you are on later in the evening. You're on at 8:20, so it should be no hardship for you.
Yeah, no, I was planning to be around for it. So just to be clear, that was at 8 o'clock that we'll be rediscussing these or continuing that discussion, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I will definitely make sure that I'm back on for that, and we can go over anything else in that case.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the notice of intent with the proposed construction of a single-family dwelling, associated site work, and bioretention area within the 100-foot buffer zone. Wait a minute. That's the wrong file. My mistake. It's the wrong file. We'll start from the top. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing. Will hold public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, on the notice of intent with a proposal to construct a new stone retaining wall to replace a failing wall located partially within the 25-foot no disturb zone to Lake Hiawatha, and to remove an existing concrete pad located within the 100-foot buffer zone to Lake Hiawatha at Assessors Map 70, Lot 67, 19 Pelletier Drive, Bellingham. Samuel Lamel, JC Engineering, Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, has submitted the filing on behalf of Mark and Nancy DiCristofaro, 19 Pelletier Drive, Bellingham. The hearings will be held online via Zoom on Wednesday, December 16th, 2020 at 7:30. Do we have representatives of the applicants present?
I just spoke with him this morning.
Yeah. Our administrator spoke with them this morning. Is it possible that someone who doesn't have a camera turned on, doesn't have a microphone turned on as well?
Hey Cliff, how you doing? Tim Icardi.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see. Hey, question for you. So what are they proposing at 19 Pelletier?
Okay. There's an old retaining wall behind that garage structure.
Yep, I know exactly where it is.
It's falling down.
Okay. All right.
It's.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know what's holding it up.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we met with them. We went out and met with the owners probably 3 months ago, and we talked about strategies for repairing the wall. We told them that they'd have to file a notice of intent, but that we would be amenable to that kind of work, because if it falls down, it could get, actually, it's close enough it could possibly even get into the water. So,
Cliff, someone from entitled JC just logged on, so that might be JC Engineering.
yes, JC Engineering.
Yes.
Okay, are they here?
I am. Sorry, gentlemen and ladies. I just was trying to get in the link. My guy from the office didn't tell me how to exactly get into your Zoom meeting. So sorry about that. Yes, 19 Pelletier Drive, I guess you're discussing. I apologize again.
Okay, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so I did hear some discussion, because as I was pulling up the plan, It is actually in very, very rough shape, as you can see, if you've been out there. And then the notice of intent that we submitted, the pictures pretty much show how this wall is basically disintegrated. So we're repairing in place, essentially, with a keystone wall, something that's more easier to construct, if you will, more environmentally friendly, if you will, because it's not a poured-in-place concrete. You can pretty much do it by hand.
Excuse me, please,
Yep.
before you continue, do you have those plans available? I spoke with Sam today, and he said he would be able to, or you would be able to share those plans with us this evening.
Correct. Yep. Are you going to share this? Allow me to share the screen?
Would you please? I know the information was distributed to the commission, but during the public hearing process, we really would prefer to have the plans available for everyone, including people who may not necessarily be on the commission.
Now, I understand also that there was an additional plan that was just sent out this afternoon. I just saw it. Is this the additional plan?
The additional plan was actually what was presented. Basically, it's more of a structural plan. So I just wanted that for the board's. This right here is the site plan. So the Keystone retaining wall plan, I can open that up if you'd like, and we can go through it if you'd like. There's basically a structural plan, which in my opinion, really not needed for a Keystone wall. But Mark, sort of my client, went through the process of thinking that all he needed was a structural engineer. And as you know, he's within the 100 feet of a wetland, if not almost up to the wetlands there. So in light of that, he reached out to me and asked me to permit this through the Conservation Commission. So we really didn't do the structural, but Keystone, it's an 8-foot high wall, feathering down to almost 4.5 feet. That's currently existing there, which is currently proposed with a Keystone wall. So the plan that you see before you is the site plan. I can open up. Oh, excuse me, I'll open up the structural plan so you can see what was sent out.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. All right.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah. Let's go back to the layout because I want everyone to be comfortable. We will be going out to take a look at this.
Okay.
Okay. And this may not necessarily be snow dependent because this kind of work, you know, is above, hopefully it's above the amount of snowfall we're going to get. So if you could enlarge that a little bit.
Mr. Chairman, we permitted replaced the septic system here.
Yes, we did.
Very recently.
Yes, we did.
2 years ago, maybe?
That's probably about right.
Like
yes.
Okay, and that little house that the wall connects to down at the bottom, existing structure that had the sort of the cesspool of a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah, we were uncertain if someone was actually living there.
Correct. Right. Okay.
We've spoken with the current homeowners, and there was no evidence to show that had been that was continuing. But that's the wall on the back of that. And if you look, okay, we're 14 feet away from the resource area, so we're in the 25-foot no disturb zone, but it's lawn. So it's a redevelopment project. Additionally, we're very close to the property edge. I mean, we're looking at 5 feet to 6 feet, essentially. That's the location. There were pictures and distributed them out. I don't know if everyone had a chance to look at the pictures and determine the decrepit condition of the structure. But that's the location. Now, if we can look at the details and
typically it's just a keystone wall detail. It's a little overboard, but it just shows, you know, GeoGrid. They certify, Keystone certifies their retaining walls with the GeoGrid on the back side of it, if you will. So there's 2 sets of GeoGrid, obviously at the 8-foot high. They certify up to 4 feet with no GeoGrid, and then beyond 4 feet, you need to place GeoGrid. And they're stackable. If you're familiar with the Keystone walls, they're very stackable. They're basically an interlocking with a pin that you put in them, and then you just, once you get that first base down, once you get that first layer down, it's basically just laying these blocks one after one. And they're concrete blocks interlocking, as I said, and they last a lot longer than any poured in place concrete wall, because it has a batter, as you can see. It actually batters back, so it's not a straight shear wall, and so it's capable of handling a little bit more weight. In addition to with a concrete, a sheared, it's basically a straight concrete wall. They're prone to failure, obviously, from behind the wall. You have a lot of buildup, a lot of the soils behind it. This kind of takes away. You see the under drain, or the drain here in this detail, and as well over here. So this actually filters the fabric, stone behind the wall. So when you get failure of the concrete walls, and if you've seen the pictures, you can see how bad they are. It's basically cracking. So what happens is that's obviously over time just going to keep on cracking and eventually fall over. So what's going to happen? The wall's going to fall over, and all the material behind is we're going to lose the material. So he's trying to be proactive and repair the wall exactly in the same exact location as the wall currently exists.
I didn't see any weep holes in the concrete, but it's possible that they were covered by vegetation. But that wall had been there for a while, and I didn't even see interlocking at the angle point. So it was probably something that was done, 40 years, 50 years ago. Somebody just formed it up and poured a wall and threw some dirt behind it. Now,
yeah, I don't have it. Can you see the picture here? Can you see that? Is that better? That's the wall. That's one portion, and you see the shearing. That's how bad the wall is. It's actually sheared. So it's falling over, and it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. I wish I could pull that up on the screen, but
the information was sent out. The only other question I have right now before we go and conduct a site visit is, the applicants had stated originally it was their intent to lower the wall. If they decided to maintain the current grade, apparently they have.
Yeah, the top of the existing wall, as you see, is 82. So we've maintained the top of the existing wall. 83 back here, 82 is the top of the wall. So as it is, 3 feet away, it's a foot higher. So we're tapering it down. If they're looking to excavate this area out and reduce the height of the wall, is that the intention? I think the septic system was in this area, as you said. So 85, 84, 83. So we're putting the height of the wall at about 82.
So it's going to be the same height as it is now?
It is, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think there was an old septic system in there?
There was something in the plans that we uncovered. Look at the old septic plan.
Yeah, I'm looking at the photograph. That wall's in tough shape.
Very bad. We were out there in like August or July, and they were asking for advice.
And you said don't stand near the wall. That was your advice?
Yeah, pretty much.
Have it here. Actually, the septic system, if I recall, here it is. Yeah, there's the existing septic. That's what.
Yeah, okay. So that won't impact what we're doing.
No, it won't impact. This is where the existing system is. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's no problem.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's basically, that's Mark and Nancy. They live there. So I don't know. Basically, they're just looking to try to upgrade. They just purchased the property. They've lived in Bellingham a long time, and he just wants to do what's right, basically. And when he came to me, he asked me. Obviously we're out of Wareham. He came to me because I'm friends with him, and he basically asked he didn't want to wait till April before this wall collapsed. But here we are with snowstorm coming tomorrow, so he's really he's not in any hurry, if you will, within the next month or so to construct this, because it's not even possible. But he was trying to get this permitted as quick as possible, so that when the contractor or the weather breaks, he can actually take care of this.
Okay. Well, we always like to try to recognize other town departments who are attending our hearings, and I see that our building inspector is present. Tim, do you have any comments on this?
Not really. I mean, it definitely needs to be done. It affects the neighbor on the other side. If you've been out there, yeah, it's really close to his house, kind of, and where his yard and where he occupies. So it's definitely kind of an emergency thing, you know. But it's bad timing now. But it will require a building permit too when they get to that point. So.
Okay, I'll let Mark know.
All right. So obviously construction is not going to commence anytime soon. But I really would like to be able to
One more quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If I may. The concrete pads being removed, there was a roofed structure there at one time. Is that going to be just turned into lawn?
Yes, yeah. He just wants to get rid of the concrete pad, unsightly concrete pad.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not being proposed anything at this point. Just convert it over to lawn.
Okay.
Well, here's what I'm hoping to do on this one. I'd like to continue this to January 13th, but I'd like to go out on Saturday, January 9th. And I know it's a little ahead, looking down the road. Do we have any availability by commission members to go out for a nice midwinter site inspection?
That's when we did the septic system there.
That's right, yep.
Yeah, as long as we currently.
Well, all right. It looks like we have some.
Hot chocolate, Ann?
I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like we have some commission availability. So I'll ask our administrator to remind everyone gently, because if it's 10 degrees, we'll ask the applicant to provide coffee.
No.
That's just a joke. We don't do that.
On hot chocolate.
Okay.
8:30 on Saturday, January 9th.
So are there any other questions on this? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of January 13th at 8:15 and to conduct a site inspection on Saturday, January 9th at 8:30.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. Now, you're coming here from East
Wareham.
Wareham.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a hike. If you think the applicant might be able to address any questions we have, it's not necessary for you to be there. If the applicant feels more comfortable having you present, that's certainly their call.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Thank you guys very much, young
No
ladies.
problem. Have a
Thank
safe commute home.
Yeah. Thank you. I know, right?
All right. So, good.
Maybe we can just get rid of this one.
Yes. I'm gonna put that one right there. We have an application. We had an application for a 60.5 by 8-foot addition onto an existing commercial building at 8 Mill Street. At the applicant's request, they've withdrawn the notice of intent. They are not going to proceed with the work. So the only question I have is, there was advertising costs associated with this because we advertised the public hearing. Have we received the check for the
Yes.
advertising?
Yes.
We've received the check for the advertising.
So it's just withdrawn.
But what I would like to do, even though we will not be inspecting 8 Mill Street, I'd like to, on January 9th, go out to Mill Street and take a look at the outfall that's proposed for the Red Mill Town Improvement section, and see what kind of shape that outfall's in. But we'll just add that on. So I'll entertain a motion to recognize withdrawal of the notice of intent for 8 Mill Street.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. All right, thank you. Now, if John is still here, what I'll do is I will dispense with the reading of the advertisement, and I will open up our discussion for lots 82A, 83A, 86, and 87, commencing with lot 82A, where we were just about ready to wrap it up, I think, pending a site inspection. So, John, if you would be so kind as to put 82A back up for us.
Unfortunately, I'm still having some trouble downloading that. I do have the other lots for our next portion of the hearing up and ready, but I do appreciate, Jim, you being able to pull that up for me.
Jim has done that for us. So to recap, you're going to see what you can do to move the western wall further from the 25-foot no disturb zone. Adjust the grading to try to lower the height of the wall, and to do the same thing at the southern wall at the bottom of the property. I don't see, is there fencing proposed?
There is a post and rail fence that is proposed to wrap around.
I see it on the west. Oh yeah, okay, there it is.
And then that does jog along with the fence as well to stay outside the 25-foot no disturb buffer. No specific fence is shown on the plan for the 4-foot portion, but that is something that I can make sure is properly noted on there. Obviously, we wouldn't want to have anybody to fall into that area or anything along those lines.
No, we don't want dead bodies cluttering up the open space. All right, so and by agreement, you're going to stake the house corners, the rain garden, the 25-foot no disturbance zone, and the and points along the wall.
Yes, and then also too, I will just have them throw a few stakes in there as well for the 100-foot buffer.
Okay.
And then did that address any were there any other concerns for the commission for lot 82 at all?
Anybody?
I guess if they address the methodology and identify before the next hearing how far away from the 25-foot no disturb, I'd be more satisfied, but that information should be presented to us before we make a decision, I think, on this lot.
Understood for that.
Okay.
Jim, mind pulling up 83? Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Jim. For lot 83, this one here, very similar to 86 and 87. We only have a very small portion of the site that is being touched by the 100-foot buffer. That is located in the western corner, right where we do have a couple of the callouts and a 284, if I'm reading that, or 294 spot grade there. In terms of anything for this particular lot, it's just going to be grading of the yard area that is occurring within that buffer. But similar to the other ones, we are proposing a rain garden on this lot. Foundation drain would be directed and daylighting into or prior to that rain garden. We do have roof infiltration proposed as well for the lot. I think that's generally it for this one here.
Questions?
What, no wall?
This one here, we do have enough space to accommodate for any grading. No issues with a wall or anything along those lines.
You should add one just to be consistent.
3 out of 4, no walls.
Do you charge more or less for a lot with a wall versus without a wall?
That is something I'm not sure of. I will definitely have to inquire on that. Depending on the style of the wall, it could be a nice feature to discuss with folk. But obviously, we wouldn't want to try to create any problems for the commission or anyone else.
Keeping up with the Joneses, you know.
You know he's being facetious, right, John?
I know.
Okay.
I hope you just don't charge a lot more. That's all I got to say.
Maybe just add a shrubbery.
All right, so in order to, because these lots will be a little more dependent on being able to see some ground, I was anticipating continuing these to the second meeting in January, and it would give us a little more flexibility to determine field conditions. So what I'd like to do is continue these to February. And is everyone okay with doing I mean, if we see that we've got an opportunity where we've got some minimal snow cover or bare ground, that we can get out and take a look at these, you know, playing it by ear, doing a survey to see who might be available. Is that okay with everyone? It gives us.
Fine with me.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, good. That gives us like 5 weeks. So hopefully between now and the hearing, we'll have a chance to go out there and take a look at existing conditions. And it'll also give John an opportunity to do some staking out.
Right now, for my survey schedule, I could probably have that area staked out within the next week to 2 weeks. Obviously, I would like to try to get these wrapped up as soon as possible, but I'll obviously default to the commission's and your guys' schedules at that point for doing the site walk.
Yeah, we've worked out our next month's worth of meetings. This works really well for us. We will, but again, if we have if we get a foot of snow tonight and it stays cold, it's going to be here for a while. And historically, this kind of snow in the end of December leads to a season-long snowpack. What we're hoping is that somewhere between now and the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we have enough of a melt to get out there. So I'm not confident that we would be able to do it on the 13th. I think the 27th would work. And what we'll do is we'll evaluate the conditions. You know, our administrator can go out and take a peek. I'll go with her. If it looks like it's something we can pull off, we'll try to give the commission and John as much advance notice as possible before we conduct the site walk. That being said, looking at some of these lots, 83, 86, and 87 are relatively simple, and we might be able to contemplate closing them on the 27th. We're not requesting. Are we requesting revisions for
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah.
87? Yes, we need a few revisions.
Yeah.
John, how soon can you get us the revisions?
With regards to that, I know from Ann's email that I saw earlier today regarding, I think it was lot 72. I do have to look into that. In terms of my schedule, I could probably have any revisions worked out within the next week or so. And then I know it might be a little tight trying to get something over to you guys with the holidays right around the corner.
Right.
I would say by first week of January, it should not be a problem to get you a new set of plans.
All right, so the 27th, we should be in very good shape. We should have been able to conduct a site inspection. So there are 3 lots right there that there's minor buffer zone impacts, and with revised plans with things like the added fencing and the information that you're going to get for us that you took notes on, we should be in pretty good shape on those 3 lots.
I'll at least pose the question. Feel free to discuss it or just let me know what your initial thoughts are for that. But with 83 just being the very minor grading within the grass, and we are accommodating with some rain gardens and such on that lot in particular, is that anything that we might be able to close today under the condition that we would have to conduct a site walk before we can sign off on the order of conditions?
No, unfortunately, what happens is once we close the hearing, we're under a legal obligation to issue within 21 days.
Okay.
We can't guarantee we can do that.
Figure I'll at least throw it out there to kind of help clear up your guys' schedule as well. But
Oh, well, we appreciate that. Stop sending us filings.
fortunately for this project here, I don't have any other ones that will be coming up in the pipeline other than the ones that we've been discussing so far.
Yay. All right. If there's no further discussion, then I will entertain a motion to continue lot 82A, 83A, 86, and 87 to the evening of January 27th at 7:45, and to conduct site inspection as conditions allow, with all parties to be notified.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote.
All right, thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
All right. And so we're a little ahead of schedule. And since the only other items on the agenda are 4 hearings for phase 2, we're going to proceed with those. No problem.
Okay, there's 3 of them.
That's okay, I just need one. Here, I'll take it. I'll keep them all together. Okay, the Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the notice of intent for the proposed site work within the 100-foot buffer zone, bordering vegetative wetlands associated with the construction of single-family dwellings at 18 Celestial Circle Lot 75A, 20 Celestial Circle Lot 74A, 22 Celestial Circle Lot 73A, 24 Celestial Circle Lot 72A. The continuations will be held via Zoom on Wednesday, December 16th at 8:30, 8:20. So we're a little ahead of schedule. All right. So I think John suggested that he had these lots up.
Yes, I do have these lots here, and I can do a screen share for that. I also was able to inquire with the applicant on what we could be doing as a part of some of the erosion issues that were discussed for the slopes out there. We do have a short plan of action put together for it, and I do have a little bit of an additional information on a tackifier that they're proposing to use out there. I can cover that first, or if there's anything specific for the lots that we would like to take a look at, I could also open those up as well.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll look at, you know, lot 72. There was a revision to that, and it was a very minor revision.
Yes, I did look into that a little bit more closely. We did have, I believe it was a name of a plan that went from a resource area plan just to a building permit plot plan. In addition to that, we just did make a minor revision to the grading contours out there. I believe a couple of them were just angled into the building. We did try to make it look a little bit more swale-like just to help funnel any sort of runoff away from the house itself. But those were really the only changes that had occurred out there other than adding in the note for that slope. I did double check with our admin. That was dropped off personally last Friday by the admin into the Dropbox. I'm not sure if it got taken out of there by somebody at the department or anything like that, but I can have new copies sent over immediately. I will not be in the office tomorrow, but I'll definitely make sure I pass along that information, and hopefully maybe on Friday, pending weather, we might be able to get those revisions back over to you for lot 72.
I don't know what happened to those plans. I have looked, I have questioned as many people, and I have not found them. So I'm
If that is something that's an issue with the Dropbox, I'm not sure if it's more direct to send anything in mail, but obviously I'll try to accommodate anyway to make sure you do get those.
I think the Dropbox works fine as long as it says conservation right on the front, then I will get it. I just don't know which box they put it in, and that would also help. If it's in the blue mailbox, then at least I know that's where it is. But I have checked with everyone, and I haven't located them.
Okay. Like I said, I do know that the admin did drop those into the Dropbox, but I will inquire if she dropped it off into maybe a different color box or anything.
Different town?
I do know it was for Bellingham. She does live in the town, but I'm not sure maybe if it was a different location than normal, but I will definitely try to do anything on my end to find that for you.
Okay.
It's available to do investigations on this, I hear. They've wrapped up some other ones in the nation, so they can look into lockboxes and Bellingham.
COVID.
CSI Bellingham.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at lot 72 with the revisions, please. Can we do that, John?
Sure. Bear with me one moment. 72, I didn't have that one pulled up, but I do have that sitting in my email here.
Okay. Well, because this is the easiest one.
All right, great. I do have that open on my screen. Can I get permission to do a screen share?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So is everybody able to see the plan on their screens?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. This is lot 72. As mentioned, we did just update the title for that to reflect the building permit plan. We did have a minor grading revision that occurred in this area where instead of having these angled towards the house, they were just made to show something that would resemble a little bit more of a swale that was there. And then other than that, the last one that we had was just the notes, which was on that slope construction methodology as previously mentioned. And then as I did say earlier, I did get some more information on the applicant after we did inquire, taking in some of, I'm sorry, the gentleman's name who provided like the erosion blankets, his name escapes me at the moment. I believe he was the third party engineer.
Frank DePietro.
Yes, sorry. But that is something that we did get confirmation that erosion control blankets are used on all of their sites. So that's not anything that would be an issue, but they would be intending to use a sheep foot or a sheep toe roller in order to get some extra compaction out there. Once the sheep's toe or foot roller does its work, they would be then spreading a tackifier over any disturbed areas, and then they would be treating it after with a winter rye seed mix. That is something that does allow for a winter season growth, and that was what some of the initial discussions were. At this point, we are open to hearing any other suggestions that the commission might have, and we can take that back and discuss a little bit further, but at least initially, this was what we were proposing to do out there.
So
And
you,
then, oops, sorry about that.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do have that tackifier information here. It is a 2-page PDF. I can have that sent over to the commission for it, but it is for erosion control use specifically.
That would be great if you could send that over.
Sure thing. Is that something you would like forward over now or just sometime tomorrow?
Well, sometime tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's no big rush. I'm not in the office, so.
So again, you're proposing to do this rather than just erosion control blankets?
Yes, so the erosion control blankets is something that they typically use on site, so that would still be in use. But then the additional steps would be, as I mentioned with the roller, this tackifier that they have the specifications for, as well as that winter rye mix to help promote any sort of vegetative growth out there on the slope sides.
I'm not sure what we're going to get if we have a lot of snow.
Never heard of a sheep's toe roller. Is that really something, or are you just trying to pull the wool over our eyes? Come on.
No. And I honestly might have written that down wrong, but it is a roller, and if you were to essentially look at it, instead of it being a normal flat drum, it has essentially bumps on it, and then those help to kind of impact and compact into the ground.
It makes little divots.
Yes, essentially.
I don't know, but I guess I got a bad feeling about it, but I don't know.
Well, let's stay with lot 72A. The slopes there are a lot more, well, down by the rain garden is a little bit of grading there.
Yes, and then right in this area here was where that 100-foot buffer was, and then it's just minor grading essentially where the rain garden is. Any of the other grading is located outside of the 100-foot buffer there.
But on the other lots, that's where we were requesting the additional erosion efforts.
A little bit closer. But for all 4 of these lots or any lots with any steeper slopes, we would be essentially using the same methodology for it.
So, all right, what I'm thinking here is we've got a little bit more information that's going to come in, but we may be able to, we're going to need the plans, which we still don't have. We can apply the protocol to all of these lots, but I want to look at them again individually. But I think this lot is one, at least we can, I'm proposing to continue this to the 13th, and we will try to prepare the order.
Okay.
So we've already seen these lots. We've done our work there, and the things that we were really concerned about, it appears that you're working towards solving. So I think that lot 72, we can work on preparing the order for the 13th.
Okay.
All right, so let's look at the next one.
Sure. Next one will be lot 73. And then everybody can see that. Okay, great. So with this one here, somewhat similar. We are going to be proposing same construction methodology. We did have just a little bit of a grading change just to kind of make it more swale looking like in between some of the homes here. This was something in particular that I did ask Elizabeth to take a look at for both 73, 74, and 75. on anything that we can do to help reduce grades. 73 is really the only one that we can achieve lowering that without causing any issues for the driveway. But that's really the only lot, and it would only be getting lowered by, maybe a foot or two in that case, so nothing substantial to help eliminate some of those slopes that are proposed there. But on 74 and 75, if we do try to make any sort of adjustments, we are going to be running issues with either runoff being directed towards or into the garage, or just a very funky driveway where we might have issues with cars bottoming out, just in order to try to get anything to flow away from the house, and also while trying to lower the grades out there.
Well, in the field, you had expressed a little concern about that.
And that was something that I know, like I said, we would try to look into, and if we could do any sort of lowering, we would. But unfortunately, that is something that even somebody else took a look at and was coming to the same conclusion that we really can't do a whole lot for these 3 lots in particular to really get anything for a much lower top of concrete or grade out there, unfortunately.
So lot 73, does this plan show the slightly reduced elevation?
This one here, no. Again, it would be very minor that we could really get out of it. So we didn't make any sort of revisions to that yet.
Okay.
Can you zoom in on that plan, John?
Sure thing.
What I'm looking at is, and move it to the right slightly. There you go. So from the front of the rain garden, closest to the house on lot 73, to the top of the area where the lawn somewhat levels off there, 286. So you're going from 278 to 286, correct? What's that distance approximately?
Those are currently spaced at 6 feet in between contours. So
30 feet roughly.
About 36 feet or so.
Beg pardon?
About 36 feet or so.
Okay, so 36 feet from the rain garden up to where it doesn't level off exactly because it's still an upgrade, but levels much more. And it's about a 9-foot increase.
12.
12, I'm sorry, 12 foot. 280, no, yeah, 286, 278, right.
74 to 86.
So what's the slope percent there? 3 to 1, 2 to 1?
That is proposed as 3 to 1.
Okay. And that's basically the same as 72, correct? It looks like the curves follow right along there.
Yes, yes.
All right. So basically, if I'm hearing you right, for those 3 lots, even if you lowered a foot, if that, for lot 73, which you haven't done yet on the plans, there's nothing else that you guys think you can do to alleviate what I think is a unacceptably steep slope, but that goes down to rain garden, then to our open space. Is that correct? You're just not proposing anything else, or there physically isn't anything that would economically be viable for the property to sell it, et cetera?
In terms of the slope, as of right now, that's where we came back with the tackifier and such things to help keep that in place. But in terms of lowering, as I mentioned, it would only gain us about a foot or so before we start running into some other problems at that point.
So, Mike, we've asked them to reduce, we asked them to lower the elevation on the slab. But when we were in the field, John expressed some concern that the driveways wouldn't work. On 2 of the lots, he was correct. So the other thing we asked was that they do something to provide much more aggressive stabilization. And, using the erosion control blankets, but taking the additional steps of the rolling, the tackifier, and the seeding before you do the blankets will greatly minimize the potential for some of the blowouts we've seen earlier. Now, we heard something, I don't know if it was at the hearing or if it was something informal, where the applicant had suggested, even though they don't have building permits, they could start clearing and grading these lots. We'll have to consider what we want to do in the order of conditions. We have no idea when building permits are going to be issued. We all hope that it will be, you know, soon, based on the review that's taking place in Basin C. But we want to make sure that in the event that there is some sort of delay or appeal, that we don't have open lots and we're relying on these sediment erosion control measures and such to stabilize the site for a longer period of time than we anticipate. So I think I'm amenable to the plan. I understand the engineering doesn't work. And in this case, it's not like lot 81, where the commission has some serious and well-founded concerns. Our concerns are serious, but I think that the measures that they're taking will provide some extra protection to minimize the likelihood that we'll have another one of those blowout instances like we had in phase 1. But I'm not so sure that we want to say, okay, you can start clearing now in anticipation of getting a building permit at some point in the future. What's your feeling on that?
If I could chime in before any commission members to add to that at all. For what we have out there on these lots currently, generally a lot of it is already cleared. If we recall, we did have where that 100-foot buffer was and the temporary sedimentation basin, that area was where we were standing with some of that grass growth starting to come back in. And essentially on at least 72, 73, there is not really much else that would have to be cleared for those. I think the biggest concerns would just be to try to fill in that temporary sedimentation basin, as well as help to lessen some of those slopes that are out there currently, just so that we don't run into any sort of erosion problems down the road. But in terms of these lots, unlike some of the other ones, as I mentioned, it is relatively cleared already.
Yeah, they're relatively cleared. The slopes are extremely steep in some of them. The only thing that is providing any measure of security there is the deep trench that you've dug. So remember, in order to start grading these lots, it's not a question of clearing, it's a question of doing actual grading. So you're going to be filling that in and establishing your slopes without the protection of that temporary interceptor trench or whatever it may be. And this is not necessarily the time of year, even with advanced measures, to be opening up land and letting it sit there, I don't think, but.
Mr. Chair, I got a quick question. The property's cleared there, yes, and it started to grow grass on some of the areas where that detention basin, but it was cleared, correct me if I'm wrong, with or without the Conservation Commission's approval. I mean, they're going through the permitting process now, and the property was, the soil was disturbed and the area was scaped, and the top of that slope had tons of rocks and so forth on it, and the property looks like it was already prepped for construction. That was done with approvals? Question?
No, what happened was they dug that interceptor trench without approvals. It was in the buffer zone.
Right. So I give zero credit for that to the developer, as if, okay, well, it's already, we started the process as if we've agreed to that, and now we're just continuing it. If you already sort of violated it and it's a mess, and then you want to do some more work on it and not actually be building a house or permanently stabilizing the slope, but throwing some blankets on it at this time of the year, and whether you put grass seed on it or not, the winter mix, I'm totally against it. I'm not even want to consider it.
Well, you see, we can, what we can structure the order in such a way that we sequence it. I agree. I'm not comfortable with doing close to finish grading and having temporary stabilization measures in place. This isn't a normal time of year to be doing this kind of work. So this is something we have to consider when we're developing the permit. But what I'd like to focus on right now is, are these stabilization measures going to be sufficient in the commission's mind to address the slopes? Now, 3-to-1 is, a standard maintainable slope under normal conditions. And the reason we're requiring additional controls is because of, the unfortunate incidences we had with similar slopes where they were not properly stabilized. So is the commission comfortable with these, beefed up measures that they're proposing?
One of the things I think that may assist in the development of our permit may be to have John or Gary and Helen submit something on letterhead, including all these stabilization techniques that they are proposing the developer to utilize during construction, because it would be a document that we could refer into the order. And it would be referred to, hopefully, by the contractor when they are constructing the site.
In other words, John, you've pulled together some information on the stabilization, the tackifiers, the rolling and all of that. If you just put that information attached with, I think you're asking for a letter.
Some kind of a
letterhead. I can also revise the note on the plan to have a little bit more of that information and detail in there. If you would like me just to do that, and then it would be on the stamp plan, but
yeah.
I can handle it either way.
Yeah, putting it on the plan.
Put it on the plan works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yes, in that case there, I can definitely make sure that our slope construction methodology portion is updated to reference the tackifier as mentioned, as well as some of these other things that were discussed tonight.
Yeah, the blankets, the rolling, the sheet foot, rolling,
winter
Rymix, all of the stabilization message. Yeah.
We'll also do a quick Google search on that if the commission would like to see what that roller would look like. Again, I'm not 100% sure if it was the proper terminology, but it is the roller that was in mind for it, if you guys would like to see that at all.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, is it possible to, if the approval process goes forward, to specify that it could not start before a certain date, any more work on that slope in that area in those 3 lots? In other words, if it's not ideal conditions, I think most of the commission members might agree with that, to start doing anything back there to disturb it and or try to stabilize it temporarily or otherwise. If it's possible to put a condition, say you cannot start before April 30th or something like that, any kind of additional disturbing of that area. Is that something that's been done before, time period?
I think that would be found to be too restrictive.
All right, well then I'll
vote
accordingly based on that then. I'm not going to.
I think what we would have to do is base it on the ability to get a building permit. Normally when you start construction of a lot, you do the grading, you do the foundation, then you do the final grading. So there's a period where you do the preliminary grading and then do the foundation. We'd have to put something in the order saying, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to work on that wording.
Well, if
what we don't want to have happen, we don't want to have the lots preliminarily graded without building permits, because they could be sitting there for an extended period of time, whether it was due to weather or lack of permits. And I don't know that the developer would want to do that because we're going to require advanced stabilization measures while they're waiting for a building permit. And it will be site-wide, so rather than just a smaller area on the site.
It sounds like the applicant's rep is asking for approval on this as soon as possible to do this grading, not to be dependent upon the permitting eventually, if it happens, for the buildings, which right now are on the houses, which are right now on hold. So if they're going to be pushing to do that, then I think it's reasonable for us to expect on the commission that the applicant's developer is going to go forward and do that grading at this time of the year or soon after. They're not going to wait until they've got a house permit. And we can't control, if we can't control that, then I think the only way to control it by putting in timing in it is to say either no or do some other deferral of the, carry over the hearings and try to see how things go down the road. But I don't know what the options are for that.
Yeah, I don't want to keep extending the hearings. Well, what we could do is we could put something in the permit, like you can't do the grading until you have a building permit. Rather than go out there and do all this grading in advance in anticipation, they're looking to save as much time as possible when the building permits are released. And I understand that, but are we willing to say, okay, fine, go out there and do all this grading, and then we wait and see what happens? That's the question. Is that what you're thinking, Mike?
Well, I'd love to hear what some of the other commission members think. I've done my talking. I think people know where I'm coming from. I don't think it's something we should approve right now, unless you can put that condition in. And I'm not hearing, have we ever done that on another permit? I mean, where we tied it to, you can't start the work on the site prep the site until you've got a building permit?
We've never had to do it before.
I didn't know if we legally can. I don't know if that's not permittable.
I kind of agree with what Mike's saying on it.
We're looking at these all together, essentially.
Yeah, it's 73.
Well, we've done 73.
We did 72.
And we've done 72. So, all right, we'll take a look at the other two. I think the grading was a little more extreme on those.
In terms of the grading, it's all being proposed as the same amount of grade change out there. It's just those lots aren't as deep, so everything is a little bit more compact. I can pull those back up. I do have them open on my screen.
Would you please?
Sure. Just before I switch to anything, is the commission able to see the browser that I have open currently?
Yes, we can.
Yes, so any of these rollers here, essentially with these kind of stubs, divots, however you like to refer to those, that is what's being referred to as like that sheet foot type of roller. And those would help, again, to get that compaction. It does create a little bit of divot in sort of the soils that are there. So anything that would be for a seed mix or a tackifier added onto it, it would be able to fall into those grooves and help to keep things in place as well, in addition to just the normal properties that like the tackifier and such things would have. But just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a visual to help clarify that. And no, I was not pulling any sort of wool or anything over anyone's eyes.
Oh, geez. Hey, they look positively
Thank you.
medieval.
You're on a roll now.
All right. So...
But I do have the PDFs back up in front of me. Is everybody able to see those on their end?
Yes.
All right, great. So here we have lot 74. Again, we're holding the same grades throughout for it for what we have at the rain gardens. I actually do believe that since as we go more north along these lots, that the grade actually picks up existing. So it's not as steep compared to what might be out there in some cases on lot 72 or 73. But it is just tighter space between where the house is and where that slope would start. And then was there anything that you'd like me to specifically point out for these at all, or just switch over to 75?
No, I think that what we were looking for was the lowering of the slab elevation, but you've already explained that that's not really going to be possible, so.
It would be more difficult on these two particular lots here, just due to the amount of space we have with the driveway and making sure that we don't direct any flows into the house. That is something that would be a problem there. And then it does also have a little bit of an issue with the sewer slope as well, and trying to make sure that we provide the minimum of 1 to 2% out there.
Has the developer looked at putting in permeable driveways instead of impervious?
That is not something that I specifically had any sort of discussions with the developer on, but it is something that I know, you know, if there are any suggestions that the commission might have for either the slope stabilization or anything else, that we could take that information back to them and see if they would be amenable to anything.
I was mentioning the permeable surface driveways as opposed to the impervious, just because that seems to be one of the two major constraints for not lowering the lots and easing that back slope issue somewhat. And the other being that you don't want cars to bottom out, which, I mean, you'd have to grade it to some point as close as you thought you could do reasonably. But the developer hasn't looked into that possibility here as part of their attempt to deal with the concerns that we have and look at that.
Permeable pavement.
Well, I don't know. Additionally, we've got the problem with the sewer. I mean, you can't, you have to make sure that you have the proper down angle on the sewer line. And if you lower the slab elevation, you may not be able to obtain that. You don't want that backing up into the house either. And you know, the perimeter drain. Are there perimeter drains on these too?
We do have perimeter drains for these.
Yeah, I see them now. Yeah.
Is being discharged towards the rear of the lots as well as the rain gardens. Okay. And then that is consistent with any of these lots that we were proposing along this open space parcel B area, as well as post and rail fence with erosion control.
Where it says post and rail fence, John, what's the distance from the post and rail fence to the 25-foot no disturbing, that closest point there?
I am not sure. I don't have a specific dimension for it. If I was just to estimate this right now, it is probably anywhere from about 10 to 15 feet range.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, okay. We'll look at 75. I mean, we're kind of looking at 75 now, but yeah.
And then as with the lot 82 and 83 area, we do have that access easement that runs in between lot 75 and lot 76.
That's still 12-foot rise there.
Yep.
I just think that's way too steep.
It's 3 to 1 though, Mike. So
yeah, I know, but I mean, maybe if everything was stabilized, yeah, okay, it's a steep slope, but I have zero confidence based on our experience with this developer in this particular area on these projects in this development to have any confidence that they can do it successfully without ideal weather conditions and just before they are able to stabilize the slope permanently. I got zero confidence they'll do it properly in advance for an undetermined period of time to approve it now. That's just my reservation about this.
Well, I think, you know,
and it's only a few feet from the open space here. I mean, it's 15 feet is nothing for after a steep slope like that for it to just continue to flow down and into an area. And then what do you got to do? Got to clean that out if it gets a blowout there. So, I mean, they can have additional measures that are aggressive, but short of putting a wall up at the bottom of the slope or halfway down the slope that would catch anything and stop it, which I don't expect they would do. I just think that it's the wrong time of the year to even consider giving them approval for them to go ahead whenever they want to, pretty much.
We do have the silt fence that is out there. That is also wire backed. I know during one of our initial site visits for lots 76, 9, 80, and 81, we did see that that fence does hold up very well with any sort of rocks that might have been coming off of those much, much higher piles that were out there, as well as making sure that any sort of erosion that we did have, that did contain anything without it spilling into the open space area. If it is anything to note, that that was holding up very well during any of our visits.
The lots that we had the blowouts on in phase 1, did they have that wire back silt fence? Can you recall, Ian? I don't recall.
They
either.
might not have
might not have,
until
okay.
Scott Jordan told them to put it in.
Okay. And now it's become, standard site-wide.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I understand your concerns, Mike. We've seen it. We've had to deal with the cleanups. Ann has been out there numerous times. But I don't think that we can use past performance as a basis for holding up a permit. But what we need to do is use past performance as the reason for putting more strenuous conditions on future permits. And that's kind of where we're going with, the beefed up protocol for sediment erosion control. And I don't know where I heard, John, did you ask if it was going to be possible to start clearing without building permits, or did I hear that in another meeting with someone?
That was in an email from Elizabeth when she had forwarded along the stamp plans for 72 through 75.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. So, that's a request. Like we deal with requests from applicants all the time. I think we can structure. What we'll do is we'll do a little work on this, Mike, and see if we can come up with with language that will protect us, but, not create an unavoidable delay when building permits are issued. So that's something we'll have to work on. But in terms of lots 75, 74, and 73, are there any other outstanding issues that we need them to work on? I mean, the primary focus was to try to get them to lower the elevation. They can't do it. Well, they're going to do it on lot 73, right?
That is something that I can have that lowered again, though it wouldn't really get us a whole lot out there, but we'll do what we can for it.
Well, does commission want them to go through that effort, or are we thinking that the beefed up protocols will be sufficient?
It's pretty vague. Is he dropping it a foot, or is he dropping it 2 or 3 feet?
Whatever the engineering says, it's not going to be much though.
No, I mean, for 3 feet, I'd say it's worth the effort. For a foot, it's probably not. But I don't know, and I'm not, I guess I'm not going to be able to say. Just so I'm clear, Cliff, what you said was you don't want to cause an unreasonable delay once the permits are given. Are you saying that we would not be giving them, as apparently Elizabeth was asking, permission to do anything right now with pre-clearing the lot or doing additional grading on the lots, whether there's beefed up stabilization or not? Or are you saying we say yes, then they can go ahead and do the grading with a beefed up protocol for stabilization temporarily, knowing that eventually they're only going to do the permanent stabilization once they've got the lot developed and built on, which might be an unknown period of time?
Well, what we're not going to do is give an open-ended permit.
But you can't make them build the house on. They have to wait for the zoning board and planning board and everything else to move forward on this project. So if we give them the go ahead now to do and say yes to these lots, what are we saying yes to them being able to do versus not being able to do? I
Well,
mean,
we're giving them, like we do for any single project, we give a permit. And the permit has conditions that govern the construction sequencing and methodology. So that's incumbent upon us to determine what we want to do. She's saying, well, I get my permit, I can start grading the lots. What I'm hearing from the commission is that that's not acceptable to us. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
that's what I'm saying, but I don't know about anybody else.
Well, maybe we should hear from other people and
Yeah, Ariane, Noel.
see what we're thinking here, because we have to base our permit based on the feedback we're getting from the board. And you know, we can bounce this off of town council as well.
I agree with Mike.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to have faith that everything will go well. But I really think any extra protocol we can put in our order of conditions or anything we can have extra written on the plans, let's go for it. Let's get everything we can.
Okay, in order to protect the resource area buffer zone.
Yes, of course.
All right, well, what we'll do is we'll start working on some of this before our next meeting. And we'll try to distribute some information. We'll talk to town council, and does anybody else have anything to say? We've heard from 3 members.
In the meantime, John, you will be adding that stabilization techniques to these plans?
These plans already had it in there, but I will definitely make sure that that is revised to be more specific for what was discussed today, as well as adding in anything on that erosion control blanket.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And you're going to find you're going to resend lot 72.
Yes, again, my apologies, not sure exactly what happened there. I do know that it was personally dropped off by somebody, but we will make sure that we do get you 3 new copies.
These things do happen periodically. From what I'm understanding now, the post office no longer delivers to individual offices. They just dump everything in a pile.
But this is the first time this has happened, so.
Okay.
Now, John, we are also going to be doing that adjusting on lot 73. I don't know what we decided.
If that's something that the commission deems as necessary to grant the order of conditions, I can make sure that I have that revised and reflected. I can't guarantee that it's going to get us any more than maybe a foot or 2. But if that's something that we want it, or that you guys would have to have me go through for an exercise, you know, I'll accommodate accordingly for it.
So what is your pleasure?
Consensus. What do we think? Is it worth the re-engineering to gain 1 foot in reduced elevation? Because remember, 1 foot there spread out over, you know, 40 feet on the lot. It's not
very significant.
Not going to be.
I don't think 1 foot up front is significant given the slope in the back.
Okay.
You know, my opinion is that if it takes the engineer more time and effort to do that, that's not my consideration, but the net gain of a foot probably isn't that substantial. However, Mr. Chair, quick question, point of order. Are you asking, are we going to be looking to entertain a motion to approve these permits or to extend to another hearing the whole process so that we can review the information that you and the administrator are going to be working on to provide for stabilization and so forth, so we can see that? Because I kind of would prefer to do that if it's possible, because I'd like to see, I'm sure you guys are going to do a great job of that. I have confidence in that, but I'd like to feel more comfortable before I vote yay or nay on this project, these lots, to know what we are going to be putting in limits in place. And I don't feel a particular rush to approve the project. I mean, they've had plenty of projects, lots be approved. Work is on hold for these lots anyway. It's not like they're about to build houses on them if we gave the go ahead today. And so I don't feel we should rush. On the other hand, I want to respect the chair and the administrator's workload and not by pushing it off potentially 2 meetings instead of just approving it now and going to the next meeting for hearing, for signing, you know, I respect your workload too.
Well, what we will do, what we usually do, we'll start working on the order of conditions. We continue to the 13th. We work on the order and we send it out for distribution and comment prior to that meeting.
So we would just be continuing this to the next meeting.
Oh yeah, we're not closing the hearing.
No.
Okay, I just want to be sure. That's fine.
Okay.
That answers the question. Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to possibly close under the condition of making sure that those plans are properly revised and received. But if the commission deems that we have to continue, you know, I will be present for any upcoming meetings for you guys.
Okay, what we're going to do is we'll start working on the orders. We'll distribute a draft to the commission, and then if everyone's in agreement, we can close and issue at the next meeting. Because even if we close now, you're not going to get the order.
We can't close now. We don't have.
Because we don't have 21 days.
And we don't have the plans.
So really, from a logistical standpoint, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. So we're going to continue, but we will work on the orders and get them out for distribution and comment. We will distribute and await comment. So John's got some work to do, and Ann and I have some work to do. So I'll continue. I entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of January 13th at 8:15.
We already have a hearing. 8:15.
Oh,
Maybe 8:35.
yep.
8:35.
Sorry. Revise the motion to continue the hearings to the evening of January 13th at 8:35.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, but unanimous vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And if I will be sending over hard copies for the plan again, would you need any sort of hard copies on the proposed tackifier, or just the PDF in an email is sufficient?
If you could give me hard copies of the erosion control, the tackifier stuff, that would be great.
Sure, I'll include a few copies of that as well.
That'd be perfect. Thank you. If you have a PDF form, I would like that also.
Sure, I can definitely send you over the PDF for that, but I'll definitely make sure that we include with that new packet again, a couple of hard copies as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Since this would be before the holidays, I hope everybody does have a very happy and safe holiday season. And looking forward to seeing you guys hopefully relatively soon for the site walk, but if not, for the January 13th meeting.
Well, yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday too.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Holiday.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ian, anything else
I don't think so.
administratively?
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
Motion to adjourn?
Go ahead, Sean. Make the motion, Sean.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Wow, you heard from Sean. Ooh. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Jim, thank you very much.
Happy holidays. Thanks, Jim.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking us
Holiday.
in.
Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.